Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I got some really cool pictures with just a one light setup that actually quickly evolved over the course of just a few minutes into a 2 and 3 light setup. And really what I was going for here, I'll tell you how this happened. We were finishing up a shoot and we had a little extra time left, and I always look at that as some opportunity to try to get some more pictures, some stuff that maybe I hadn't really counted on, but you've got a few extra minutes, time to experiment, right? Well, I noticed that my model had been eyeing this red dress. It was over in the corner of our set. And I said, hey, why don't you put that on? Why don't we see what we get? And she was pretty excited about it. She adjusted her hair and makeup a little bit. We threw on a necklace or two, changed those out, and we started with this basic classic one light against a black background. And I'll just show you real quick the main idea for how that kind of a setup works. And so you can see that it's very simple. It's just well, this actual image, just to let you know, it's actually reversed. So if any of you notice that, hey man, the umbrella adapter there, the handle's on the wrong side, well, it is because the picture is actually flipped. But this to give you an idea of about where that light was and how simple the setup is. So that's how we ended up with images like this. And I'm really just, as soon as I looked at the back of my camera after taking a few shots, I was like, wow, this is going to work. So I was pretty excited. All right, so let's go ahead and go through some of these images. I think this is one of those first ones that we were showing there. And there's that one. I think they're very nice. This just, getting these initial images really encouraged me. I kind of thought, man, we might be onto something here. So at this point, I was pretty excited. I showed my model some of these test shots. She was really excited. So we started experimenting with a little movement. I mean, we've got this vintage red dress, and this is an authentic red dress. My mother-in-law loaned it to us, and we made some good use of it. This was actually, I think, something she wore as a prom dress or something like that back in the day. So we have that, a little more movement, and we kind of just experimented with having fun, just dancing. We had some music playing. Our model, MK Blondie, requested Frank Sinatra, and so that's what we did. That was kind of a different request. I was pretty excited. Just, sometimes it's everything comes together. Everybody starts getting excited about a shoot. Things just happen, right? They just flow. Now, our model is actually also an aspiring photographer. I think she probably takes some pretty good pictures herself. She knows a lot about lighting. She's been around photography for a long time. So we get to geek out on lighting a little bit. And she said, hey, why don't we try some gels? And I was like, yeah, I just did a couple of tutorials on gels and stuff. This might be a good follow-up to that. So here we go. We tried some gels, and what I actually did is I threw, if you can see here, I threw a blue spot on the background over here. I had my main light, which, natural, just white right here as the most important light in the shot. And then back here, I threw in another gelled flash, to give me kind of a theatrical look, sort of a stage look almost. And before I go on, let me just give you an idea of how those lights are set up. Now here in this diagram, you can see the main light is in the same place as we're using in our shoot here, in our example of images. I don't have this fill reflector here, and the background light and the hair light are switched in my actual shoot. So, but you can see here that the background light is, it's just a standard flash. It's pointed towards the background. Now I have my light zoomed into, I don't know, pretty tight zoom, 70, 80 millimeters, something like that. It's pretty tight and close to the background. And I have that gelled off. The hair light is actually on the opposite side of where you're seeing it here in this diagram, and I've got it gelled initially with a warm gel, basically something that's pretty orange. And so let's get back to our images. So naturally, we are just playing around. We're experimenting with, sometimes we're using a gel with this color, and sometimes we're taking the gel off of this light over here. So, you know, we've got a lot of things going on. I'll show you another one. This is a purple gel, and we still have that warm gel over there on camera right, coming in towards the model's sort of backside and hair. So we've still got that going. I left the light stand and flash in the shot here. I mean, obviously I could crop that out or clone it out, but I left it in here because I kind of like the interplay between the model's pose, you know, the way here their arm is extended, and the flash. I just like the way that looked, and sometimes, you know, leave things in. I just did a podcast about Peter Lindbergh, and I thought that that was interesting because he will often, you know, leave within the frame the rest of the set. It's just something that he does, and I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. Just kind of your eyes can kind of zoom in on the actual image as it's intended, and you can see how it's just a construction, you know. So you get to enjoy those two things, especially for us photographers. It's kind of fun, again, to geek out on that kind of stuff. Here's another photo, and here this is interesting because you can see the main light in this frame. You've got that background light over here hitting the spot, and we're going to zoom in. You can see this flash right here isn't in play right now, but you can see that the gel is put on here. That's kind of an orange gel right there, and I don't know, the actual shot is just really cool. I think even like this, I like it just the way it is. It's not just a picture of the model dancing. It's a picture of the situation. It's, you know, it tells a really cool story, especially to me. You know, make the photos for yourself first. Other people will likely enjoy them if you really do. All right, so then we went to some sitting poses. Actually, this was a model idea. She said, hey, can we try some sitting poses, and let me just spread this, you know, this gown out over the floor. And I said, of course, let's do it. And so here's one. We still have that warm light over here as the hair light. We have this other one, and I can tell you that I moved the main light down. I moved the lights a little bit to accommodate the, you know, the difference in height. Now, real quick, let me go back to where we started over here. You'll hear a lot of people telling you, when you post pictures like this up in a Facebook group or something, you'll hear a lot of people telling you, you know what you could have done? You could have put some rim light in, or lit up the background a little bit to kind of pop the model out from the background, because she's kind of fading into the back. Yeah, I know. That's actually really good advice. I say that all the time. But sometimes, you know, I mean, that's not a hard rule. You can do it this way. You can do it any way you want. Just like the way this looked. Was really happy with it. But of course, you know, moving on to these other looks, I think was a good idea. Okay, hey, while we're here, let me go ahead and talk about the light power and camera settings and all that stuff, the technical details. I know a lot of you really like that stuff. All right, so I'm using, believe it or not, a kit lens. I know a lot of people say, no, you've got to use really good, expensive glass. Well, you don't really have to, not all the time. Come on. I'm using a kit lens. It's the Canon's 18 to 55 millimeter. I've got it on ISO 200. I'm using f8 at times, and I'm using f10. 1/250th of a second is my flash sync on my 7D. I'm still using an old camera. God, that camera's got to be like, what, getting up on 8 years old now, something like that. My lighting is, all three lights were Yongnuo YN 564s. That's 560 IV. So the main is behind a 43-inch shoot-through umbrella, and I've got that at between 1/8 and 1/4 power. The background and the hair lights were tweaked to really whatever worked, right? There's no way to tell you exactly what I was using, because I'm changing them according to what looks good after I take a test shot. Some gel filters will require more power to get the same job done as others. The hair light, obviously that's going to change depending on distances and to the model, color of the model's hair, how hot you want it to look. There's all sorts of variables. So giving you the exact power settings, I know a lot of people want every single piece of information. They want to know camera settings, flash power setting. See, none of this stuff is going to be relevant to you unless you and I got in here and shot the exact same thing, the exact same way with the exact same equipment. You know what I'm saying. A lot of photographers will get frustrated with people asking these questions. I understand how it can be helpful to know, at least to get in the ballpark of where somebody started for pictures like this. But yeah, my advice is, you want to do something like this, throw a gel on your light and take some test shots. Tune it, adjust it till it's where you want, and then just go with that. If you want to write those settings down because you think you might reproduce the same thing in the exact same way at some point, go for it. That can be helpful too. So let's get back to the pictures and let's finish this up. It's Ed Verosky, folks. I mean, naturally, we're going to, throw in some sensual, provocative shots. And there we have it. We did a lot of these. Obviously, I can't show everything on YouTube, so my apologies. This is going to be somewhat censored, but I think you get the idea. You can go to my blog, edverosky.com, if you want to see all of these pictures without the censorship. But I think you get the idea here. Work with a good model, use some good technique, experiment. Above all, that's like the most important thing you can do, and have fun. Now, I would encourage you to do a shoot like this, to just get your hands on an interesting dress. Maybe your model has one. Think about jewelry, hair, makeup. Make sure everything's working together before getting this in front of the camera, and just get that going. Now, I've got some videos on using gels. I mentioned that before. You can go ahead and reference those about how to use gels on backgrounds and how to use gels just in general. So try something like this out. Have some fun. You'll probably end up with some good photos. And hey, if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button. It's your way of telling me that you appreciate all this hard work I do. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Woo, man, that's it for today. I'll see you next time.